Hi, today I'm chatting with Chris Denelle from Denelle Law, and we're going to be talking about changes going on right now in real estate law. All right, so
Yes.
what's going on in the world of real estate law?
Well, there's a lot going on in real estate, as always. I think people pay attention to real estate, but particularly on our end, there's a couple different things. It's not law related in essence, but it affects us very much. So there's a couple forms of fraud that are going on right now that have everyone's antennas up, right? So the first one has been around for a little bit. Attorneys, title companies have been reacting quite a bit to it. It's wire fraud, right? So people are getting into emails, changing wire instructions. Funds are getting shipped out to accounts that they were not intended to go to. They're going to the bad guys, right? We don't like that. And the other thing that's been popping up more recently, and it has a lot of cause for concern, is vacant land fraud, right? So people are selling property, vacant land, to third parties, good faith third parties that are not any wiser to it. The seller hires even a realtor, hires an attorney. They sign remotely, sell some real property, vacant real property. The buyer goes there, improves it, does whatever it may be, and then lo and behold, the seller didn't actually own the property, right? They had someone sell it for them. Well, they sold someone else's property. They had someone notarize the documents, even though they weren't actually a person selling the property, or then they record it. It gets improved. Someone comes back from Florida, we'll call it. There's a house on their property, and they say, "I never sold that to you." So two really kind of concerning things that are going on right now.
Yeah.
I think one affects most buyers more than other in the wire fraud, but the other one is also very concerning for buyers as well.
Yeah, I know that wire has been a huge convenience kind of thing for people, that when they go in contract, maybe they're living out of state, they don't have a personal check or time to get the money within the 48 hours, so they prefer wire instructions. So going back to the wire, what are some tips that you recommend for buyers that are going to be wiring something, just to confirm that this is going to the right place, or it's going to who I think it's going to?
Yeah, so you'll see whenever you get an email from a real estate attorney and it's leading up to a transaction, or a title company, and you'll see on the bottom in almost everyone's emails nowadays, it says, "Beware of wire fraud," right? So to prevent it, what you want to do is you want to make sure you get some wire instructions that come via an encryption software. So if you're getting them via email, make sure it's encrypted, so that way you can get the PDF, you can download it. And then most importantly is the verification of wire instructions, right? So you can't just get an email with a PDF attached that has a bank account and just run to the bank and send your life savings to a third party, okay? Take a moment, okay? Look for an independent phone number from either a pre-existing email with your closing office, or if you've called them in the past, go to that phone number. Never call from a phone number that's within the same email, okay? Because they'll verify wire instructions from you, even if it's going to a bad third party, right? So call on that independent line and just verify the instructions. Verify the bank account, okay? Verify the bank. Verify the routing number, okay? Get that done, and then you can go into the bank and you can initiate that wire if you have to do so. My recommendation at this point is, if you can, avoid doing wires, really. All right, get a cashier's check. Go into the bank and get that cashier's check. Now, the reality is that's not always the case, right?
You gotta go to the bank, get the check, then you gotta go to UPS or FedEx or the post office, pay for the overnight.
Right.
So it is certainly a matter of convenience. And I do have to say, for my clients, once we go into contract, I say, do you want wire instructions, or do you prefer to send it? And some people just prefer to drop off the check in person if they can. But if someone is getting a wire from me, then I am usually saying, hey, or I'm emailing you with them saying, please send wire instructions, so they know that, it's me validating you guys, and it's not necessarily like, oh, I just got an automatic email from my realtor saying for me to wire money.
Right.
At a brokerage that I had worked at before, we had it right in our email signature. We will never ask you to wire us money directly.
Yeah.
So those are good tips.
Yeah, and I think that one more tip is late changes to wire instructions do not happen, okay? So if you get an urgent email of any sort saying, hey, use this account please for whatever reason, that should be a major red flag, all right? So again, due diligence, call on independent numbers, and you should be good as long as you do your due diligence is really what it comes down to.
All right, and then the other topic was the vacant land sales. So I guess I have so many questions about this because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, this is really, it's really newer. It's a lot newer.
Somebody calls me and asks me to sell their vacant land because they're lying. They know they don't own it, and they want me to sell it. So, I mean, part of my validation when I'm selling anything for anybody is looking at the deed and looking at the tax assessor and getting some proof that they actually own the property. So are you saying that there's agents out there that are not doing that, or is the owner furnishing some type of false documents to lead people to believe that they actually own the property?
Right, so the bad third party is pretending they're that person. And they're getting a bad notary to sign on these deeds, okay? So the bad third party is signing as though they are the person that actually owns it. So looking at the deed, looking at the tax assessor may not actually uncover the fact.
So they're posing as Bob Smith. And Bob Smith is in all of those.
They are true fraudsters, Wow. So by looking at those, you're not going to actually uncover this, right? So some things that you may want to look out for is they don't want to meet in person, right? They're remote. They don't want to provide a driver's license. That's one thing you could require, right? So the numbers could be off, right? The land should be selling for $150,000, and they're like, nope, I don't care. I just want $45,000 or something like that. They want it to sell as quick as possible. Try to get a cash buyer. Try to get that cash and get out of town.
Because even if we go into contract and this person is posing as somebody else and you're doing a title search, everything could just come up kosher besides the fact that we don't know this person's identity. So even though the buyer could be doing all their due diligence, this is like a whole separate due diligence than real estate. It's like an actual person
and we actually
being fraudulent.
Yeah, we have new guidelines when it comes to vacant land. So so we're going to send, whenever we have vacant land, we're actually sending it over to our title insurance underwriter, and they're doing more due diligence on it. But as a realtor, if they don't want to meet in person, they only want to communicate via text, whatever it may be. If you're asking for more information with regard to their identity and they're reluctant to give it to you, antennas go up, right? And I think you'll know. I have had a realtor call and just ask, hey, can you look up someone, try to find some independent information on the person that actually owns the land, reach out to them, right? So the tax assessor, the good thing about the tax assessor is there's an address typically where the tax bill goes. So you could try to figure it out that way. Maybe try to communicate, I should say, with the actual owner, all right, or what you perceive to be the actual owner. Okay, so due diligence. Due diligence is huge when it comes down to it. There's a lot of money involved, and criminals like money. Well,
that's some great information. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions about wire fraud or vacant land fraud, feel free to DM us.